welcome back to the show, Indie Comic Empire. No, I'm not gonna like announce any kind of intro, but I do. I will remind my audience that we did talk before. It was a while ago, almost at least a year ago, maybe if not
Yeah,
longer.
I think what was I
The
releasing?
la
What did we talk
last time
about?
we talked, you were getting ready to announce that you were funding was it the Gear Wars or
Grid Wars.
Grid Wars? Sorry, yeah. And
Yeah.
so
Oh,
whenever
let me
that
grab
was,
that one
it hadn't
too.
even gone live yet, I think, at the time of the recording. That was just something that we talked about.
Yeah, yeah. Let me grab that too because
That's a nice bookshelf though.
thanks, man.
Solid. So big that it's just like the whole wall.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
what
It
I
is the
need,
whole
but
wall.
instead I have like individuals and I have to like strap them to the wall so I don't worry
I
about
don't
them
know.
falling on my kids and stuff.
I don't know if you can see it all, but I have this part here, which has some of
Oh yeah, yeah.
my stock. Can you see up there?
I
There's
can't see the very top, but I can see like the
like this
second
one
to
here.
top.
Is it showing?
And not fully. I can see your hand, but I can't
I
see
can
what's
see.
above the shelf. I think you
Section
froze. Oh,
of
now you're back. Now you're back. Now I see it. Principe Valente?
yeah, that's Prince Valiant. It's the
No,
whole collection.
no
I
way.
think there's one. It's from 1937 until 2018.
Damn.
Do you know? Have you ever seen
Is
some of
it
it? The
that's
Hal
like
Foster.
the old, yeah, that's like
Yeah, yeah,
it was in the newspapers and he was like known for
yes,
having
exactly. Yeah,
spectacular art in newsprint or like
yeah,
actual comic strips. I think he was like famous for the detail of it. Like no one had seen comic strips as detailed and as like story
yes,
oriented as that until that. That's kind of like the one of the old godfathers of the start of comics, really, right?
yes, yes, yes. All correct. And they published every Sunday. It was a Sunday strip, I guess. Actually, it was a Sunday page because it was a whole page. And each book here it's a year, so it has 52 pages
Okay,
of story, right?
that's awesome.
So that's 52 Sundays. And they never stopped publishing it. I guess it stopped around 2018 because they never published anything else
Dang, that's
here
crazy. I had no
later.
idea it was still going to this modern
Yeah,
day. I
and it's like the same journey of the same family because Prince Valiant eventually dies. I haven't read all of them.
who's been doing the artwork
I
since?
can't remember who's like the latest. Let me grab the latest one. So this is Schultz and Eats, not Yates, but Eats. I actually don't know who they are. I haven't read this one yet. Story grew with it, you know. I think they came out of the like medieval times and they're a little bit further in the future.
Whoa.
Like still in the past,
But yeah, they're like
but like since the story started, you know. But it's like the Prince Valiant's descendants
okay,
later
cool.
on, which is pretty cool, you know. You don't see, I don't think there's any other story that goes
That long. That
as
has
far
to be
as
the
this
longest
one.
running
Yeah, yeah,
ever.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's
Yeah,
got to be. So you said it started in 1938. They
30, yeah,
almost would have made it
37.
100 years
Yeah,
if they hadn't stopped in
imagine,
2018.
imagine. And like this publication here, it's all right, but it doesn't do like a good job representing the artwork, I think. Because it's
How
like
big
in
are
a
yeah,
regular
okay, yeah.
size, it's a little bigger than, you know, a regular comic book,
Yeah.
right? But like I have, it's shut. Um, like imagine this in a newspaper page, like a
Yeah,
big
so
one.
it'd be Huge.
yeah, like I think three times the size of this book.
Wow.
And one time there was this expo here showcasing a bunch of different artists and other people's collections of comics and memorabilia and original stuff. And there was one page from Hal Foster there, an original page from Prince Valiant, and it
Yeah.
was huge. It's like
Huge.
this huge page, like a whole sheet of paper,
That's
you
great.
know?
That would mean that, like, yeah, he was literally doing it two size of like how it goes into the giant old
Exactly.
school
Yeah.
printers. That is insane.
Yeah.
It makes you really appreciate what,
Oh man, the detail on that thing was amazing.
yeah.
And
Oh my
like
goodness.
when I look at these books, like I'm like, oh shit! Like I wish they were a little bit bigger
Yeah.
to
No,
capture like
yeah, now
so
I
awesome.
do. It makes me wonder because the book I'm working on now, I'm actually gonna be printing it into the smaller like manga 5x7
Yeah,
size. But before I did that, the artist I'm working with now on my current book, the one that I'm crowdfunding right now, it's the artist originally asked if she could do it in a bigger size. Like
yeah,
in Europe they have slightly bigger size books, I
yeah.
think.
I think that it's a little bit larger,
And she was like,
right?
"What if we did it like that?" And we were kind of like, "Well, um, maybe." But yeah, it's like, but now I'm like reconsidering. Like, I didn't realize like how much because I just on not being an artist so much, I just think, well, we'll just change the
Yeah,
proportions are the same. We can just change the size. But from her perspective, she was thinking like, well, I can do more detail, and if it's bigger,
yeah,
like there, I can get more into it from an artistic perspective, and I just wasn't thinking about it that way at the time.
yeah. You can always go smaller once you
It can go
settle
bigger though.
a
Yeah,
size you're gonna work on. But if you're gonna go bigger, then it's better to, work bigger as well.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're past that point of return now.
Yeah, how did it end up? You're keeping the manga size.
Yeah, we're keeping it that
Okay.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like my whole idea with it all is um it basically to sort of if I'm so this the book that I'm working on is a lot like your books to where
How come?
it's not appealing to a not a mainstream artist. It's just like graphically it goes hardcore.
Okay, cool.
But so it's a mainstream publisher would be hesitant about printing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like full blown nudity to where it's like X rated or even like an
Yeah.
NC-17. Kind of like where yours would fall like is it the Lemonade book you have like that would probably like cross the normal line of like being what can go on the normal shelves of a bookstore. And
Yeah.
like mine is like I knew it would be borderline to where it's like I can get it. I have an audience for it, but the publishers probably will just deny it once they read like some like the last chapter of the graphic novel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so point being, I was like, I'm just gonna self-publish it, and I'm actually gonna start a publishing line, sort of under my own label. But I need a way to differentiate myself, so it's not just something that's like something where it's not just my work as a creator, and I will publish other material. But what makes my
Mm-hmm.
books different from every other indie comic publisher out there? Because there's so many, and it's to sort of make a name for yourself. So the way I decided to differentiate is to print them actually in the tankobon manga format. So,
Yeah.
but also left to right in English. So
Okay.
but it's not like I'm releasing Japanese style comics in the
Yeah, you're
sense that
just
they don't
using
have to match the
that
artistic
size.
style, but
Yeah.
the size, yeah, and it'll save
Yeah.
me a little bit on printing.
Yeah,
Um,
of course. I think we should be able to choose whatever size it fits best our either like the financial needs or whatever the project asks for.
Yeah, the main
Yeah.
thing is it's like for the readers, from the reader's perspective, you if you're not wanting to spend more than 20 to $25 for a graphic novel book, or more than like $5 for a an actual like comic floppy comic, the only
Yeah.
way to do that as a super small publisher who's printing only 100 or 200 copies is I have to do something to make the actual printing cheaper. Because if I print them in the normal full color, full traditional size,
Hmm.
it costs me almost like $4 to print it. And then if I'm selling them for $5, after shipping and stuff, I'm
Yeah,
actually
your
losing
margin.
money on it.
Yeah,
So
of
I have to
course.
sell them for
Like very
10
little margin.
or
Yeah.
more, and most people don't want to pay that much for an indie comic. They will in like Kickstarter campaigns or if they want to support the
Yeah.
creator or something. But on a
If they
more,
meet you like in a con or something.
yeah. But I was
Yeah.
thinking like if I want to try to expand this at all and have like a familiar label, I have to be able to sell them wholesale at a price that's reasonable. And the only way to do that is
Of course.
basically to lower the cost of printing. And the best way I found to do that is basically print them in black and white in a smaller size
Yeah.
on a cheaper paper, but still have the color cover and in full graphic novel form rather than floppies, so that whenever I'm
Yeah.
selling them, I'm selling like a full thing. It's worth $20 to the reader, but I could maybe like print it for something more like, $5 or $6. So then if I'm selling it for 20, I can actually make some money with it as opposed to printing something for $3, selling it for 5 and maybe making $1. That's the other thing
Yeah.
is as a publisher, I might be able to make a little, like literally $100 or something off a print run of
Yeah,
100
that,
books,
that
but for
that
the
only
creators,
works
that's nothing.
if you have like 100 different titles
Yeah,
going on at
exactly.
the
I would
same
need an
time.
insane
Yeah.
amount that I won't be able to do. So I'm sort of going for quality story, quality art on um a
Cost
cheaper format.
efficient format. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let me ask you something. I don't follow that closely the American market, but it's certainly something that happens here with our imports. But I feel like the comic book industry has like inflated itself, meaning that they up the costs and the quality of the materials and like making big books with hardcovers, and that only sells to like the older audience, the guys that have money to buy and collect, the collectors, you know and they stopped reaching the new audience, like kids that like can only spend just a couple of bucks trying to buy something. I don't know if that happens there too.
That's 100% what has happened.
Yeah.
What actually it's gone to a super extreme to where the new readers only want free stuff. They read everything online. It's all webtoons and
Yeah.
webcomics, um, and or they'll get full manga trades. And if they do get trades of American comics,
Which
they
is
get full
funny, right?
trades of the biggest
Yeah.
series. Independent floppies are a niche market in America. That's like what I'm in, but it's like
Yeah.
the average even reader and even people that are into comics, it's sort of the underbelly. The main
But
people that are
is that
collecting, yeah, it
is that where like the new readers are going to, like looking at manga? Because that's my feeling, like manga still sells. Like in Japan, they never had a problem
yeah.
because they never upped the costs. Until today, like all the books, most of the books are black and white. I think maybe 99% of them. I don't know of any color
No, yeah,
manga,
you're totally
right?
right. And almost everywhere else except
And
for
they're
America.
smaller and they're like cheap paper, where because it's like disposable in a way. They
Yeah,
pass it on, but it's like something that they're gonna read on the bus, on the subway,
and
like
they literally
anywhere.
dispose of it. Yeah.
And yeah,
Except for in America, it's not like that.
yeah.
In
I mean,
America,
I'm guilty too.
yeah,
I, I kind of love it. I like, of course, I'm part of the problem, but like I'm not the reason that I'm part of the problem. Because they cater to me in a way, or like people like me that
Yeah.
grew up on this, and like now they like I get happy when I get like old issues of X-Men in like in hardcover, like all gathered together, better
Yeah.
paper, better printing, like revised text, and translations. And because like we had a problem here too, because the editors here, because of various problems, they would change some of the content of the books.
Oh, whoa, they like censored it?
Yeah, it's funny story, man. Like remember, I think it was Secret Invasion.
Okay.
It's like it came out in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And along with it, like that series came out to promote some toys, right?
Okay.
You remember that? I don't know
I
if
didn't read it,
I'm
but
that
I
older
know
than
what you're
you.
talking about. Yeah.
But they like it came out with these toys, and those toys came out here as well because they were trying to reach like a global market.
Okay.
So one of the characters, I think it was Rogue, wasn't published in Brazil yet because we had like a 5 year delay.
Whoa. Okay.
All right, so she wasn't published here. So the first issues, or like the first time that the Secret Invasion was printed here in like late 80s, almost 90s, they changed Rogue's character to, I think it was Spider Woman. I can't remember, something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then like I don't know if she had a toy for herself too, but like they didn't even come, or they made like a Spider Woman toy. I think that was it. If it wasn't Spider Woman, it was some other character.
No, yeah, that would
Could be
make
wrong, but I
sense.
know that they changed it.
Gracious. No, yeah,
Because it had like a commercial need to change it. They weren't like people here weren't worried about fidelity or continuity because like something new here. Not new, it's been going for a while, but like their interest was more in selling the toys and selling the books, and they didn't want to confuse the readers by giving a character that's only going to come up in a few years.
but I wonder why. So I guess it's because they were doing it chronologically. They had to wait. They couldn't release
Yeah,
it.
so but they anticipated that one. They moved it to release on that year because of the toy line.
Okay.
So like the toy makers wanted to sell it all over the world. So like the Secret Invasion books were supposed to come alongside, not with the toy, but be released at the same time.
Yeah.
So they had that issue here, like we're 5 years behind. That character hasn't come out here
Now
yet.
okay, I get you. I get you. Okay.
So
Dang,
so
yeah,
they
because it's
changed it.
still an ongoing series. They're still going with it. So they're like, on this wave of these characters, we're trying to release it worldwide
Exactly.
with all these toys. And they're like, but with you
Exactly.
guys, they're still reading the back issues, but we still
Yeah.
want to release the toys there. So they just change the character.
Exactly. There's
Okay,
another
now I get it.
instance that's funny too. There's this issue. I think it was some issue of Spider-Man or Avengers. I can't remember, where the heroes go inside Marvel Studios, Marvel Publishing, and they meet
The
like the
creators.
editors, the
Okay.
artists, and so they redrew those faces to the guys that worked here.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Cool.
put their names, which is like, I mean, it's fine. It's like it's kind of
That's
cool, but that wouldn't happen today. Like
no,
they would
yeah. I don't
serve.
think it's big enough for
Yeah,
them to care so much about
yeah.
it being
No, of
like
course
in
not.
each
Like,
of
it's not
its.
like an essential item to the story. It's like a kind of a throwaway story, right? It's just to it's
Yeah,
like
but
cute, but
back to the whole what we're talking about oh, you're like about the kind of the whole industry inflating itself to where it's unaffordable for the masses. Uh yeah, that's I feel like the whole sort of dilemma we're in here in the States to where uh if you look at the sales numbers and if you just like talk to people on the streets, there are people that literally watch Marvel movies and don't even know that there's Marvel comics
yeah,
still out that they can buy. You know, they still think that they're based upon things that happened years ago, which they are, but they don't even realize that it's still an ongoing hobby. And that's like the
Yeah.
mainstream people off the street. The main readers, if you look at the numbers, it's I want to say like $1 billion to go into basically the normal American comics of Marvel, DC, and indies all together, and a whole
Yeah.
nother billion go into just manga and what they call young adult graphic novels, which is, or
Hmm.
even like kids graphic novels like Dog Man and Captain Underpants. Like that in itself
Yeah.
is equally big, if not bigger, than the entire rest of the comic book industry. And if you add in actual how much is being consumed, web comics, even in America, overpower almost all of them. I think I'm not exactly sure where they're reading them and if it's truly like that size, but it's a huge, huge portion is people that are just reading it on their phones
Yeah.
and they're reading it for free, whether it's Webtoon, Tapas, Global Comics,
Yeah.
or just
I
directly
think
from
the
websites.
problem is price point.
Yeah, that's the
Like it's
thing is it's not an
too expensive.
affordable hobby to the
Yeah,
masses.
exactly. It's not something, and like that word like kind of bugs me in a weird way. Like it shouldn't be a hobby. I mean, it can be a
Yeah, yeah.
hobby, but it should be just like stuff you do, like a throwaway stuff. That's how you get people because most people don't like they have other hobbies and like it's very hard to get into a hobby or get people to get into your hobby,
Hmm.
right? But like reading shouldn't be a hobby. It
Yeah, I
should be
agree.
just something you do, right? And I mean, when you're a kid, like comics, they're just great. Why not? And they're not appealing to kids nowadays. And I think one
That's
of the,
true.
of course, there are a lot of problems. Like the screen time is a problem. Trying to do stuff on the phone or on the computer is a problem. But I think that being expensive is a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Like
comics were
I've
$2
seen,
and you
yeah,
could, and they were
exactly.
still like at
You
the
should be able to
grocery
get it
store.
at the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember, I
Yeah,
used to buy comics at a
that's how
supermarket.
I got them as a kid.
You know what's in supermarkets? Manga. Here.
Yep.
They have manga
It's
in
it's at some
supermarkets.
here. Yeah.
And it's the correct formula. So I think you're on the right track, like toning it down and
From an
trying to get it out
independent,
there. Yeah.
from a reader's perspective, from a creator's perspective, it's like we just want to get the books out there and we want to get people to read them. And from a reader's perspective, it's like if your book is available and it's cheap, I'll get it. Uh, so why not try to go that route instead of, yeah, it's like the middle class of comics is just very difficult to do from
Yeah.
both a reader and a creator. Because yeah, the average comic nowadays is now $5, and in order to reach, and that is still at that $5 price point, the cost to make it at a professional level that people expect because Marvel and DC print hundreds of thousands of them. They can afford that price point because they're printing them for less than $1. Um, but us, when we're printing them for $3 or $4, yeah, can't do much with them. But if I can print them for a lower amount and still, and it's like from a reader's perspective, I don't think that they would care so much that they're like, well, this doesn't have a glossy cover. To them, it's like I'm still just reading a comic.
It's the disposable thing.
Yeah,
Like if you're gonna pay like 10 or 15 bucks for a book, it's an investment. You're gonna be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Reluctant to buy something that you might not like,
hmm,
So, but if it costs like 2, 3 bucks, you're like more, okay, so if I don't like, it's fine because I didn't lose that much money.
exactly, yeah. But if yeah, unfortunately, most of the comic market is people that see it as a collector's and a hobby. They do
Yeah,
read as well, but
and
yeah, and
that's fine. You
we're
can do
victims of
it.
that. Yeah,
And that's fine. You can do it. I love it too. But like the editors, like the publishers, they have to work on the other end too. They, like eventually we're gonna die,
yeah.
you know?
It's
And if
yeah,
they're not like picking up like kids like really early on with new stuff and cheap stuff for them to just try out and give some incentive for the parents to spend a little money to buy like
Well, and from my kids, they're young. They see me making comics, so they want to make comics. But in their mind,
my daughter's the opposite.
well, I with me, they're not seeing me actually illustrate. They don't actually they just see like the finished product and they but point being, yeah, if they actually saw me doing all the work, they would probably be like, I'm not gonna spend that much time.
Oh, that's too much time, see.
Oh, that's funny. But point being is like to them, like just draw. They want to draw like strips, like 1 and 2 panel stories. Um, and I see a lot of the the level above my kids. I guess my kids are Gen Alpha, Gen Z
Yeah,
kids. They are doing like memes and they're doing like cartoons that they're just posting on Instagram and they're simple drawings. It's more for the humor or a political element or they're telling some kind of message or telling a joke, not so much like what I'm doing, which is telling cinematic full blown stories on paper.
yeah,
But
but
still,
that's
it's
how
just
it's fun,
interesting
man.
that we're all lumped together, and
Yeah,
that's where I feel like the people are latching on to either sort of the main because a lot of uh, I was the same way. You start out watching anime and movies that then and you know I watched like Simpsons on TV. I saw Simpsons comics at the supermarket. So I learned about comics that way, and of course, like saw Star Wars, and then Star Wars comics at the supermarket.
yeah,
Nowadays, people are seeing, they're watching One Piece on Netflix. They're realizing that's based upon an anime or a manga, and they see that, and they can get those also at
yeah.
supermarkets or Target or at places that they're more familiar with. It's not necessarily comic shops because those are more mainstream, and they just stay in that path and then eventually some of them might branch out into more of all the paths that us nerds go down whether it's tabletop gaming or comic shops and collecting cards or playing Pokemon or
Yeah.
whatever it is. um, but then there's another path that I feel that's like unrelated to that. That's those that are basically writing stories for more of a cinematic element, and that we're basing like entirely on basically saying, I want to make Star Wars. I can make it as a comic series, because that's easier in a way than trying to
Yeah,
get it done
it is.
by
It's way cheaper
Lucasfilm.
to produce like a drawing. You can do it. It might turn out bad, but you can still do it. And doing like effect shot or trying to recreate some kind of cinematic something, it's way harder. So
But that's what's
at
cool
least
about.
it gets kids to express themselves and they get connected to the stuff. And some kids like drift away and do other things, but they're still like play with it as kids, and then they remember it later on, and then they get that thing to their kids. I think here we have like this big disconnect from parents to kids regarding comic books because we don't have our own comic books, like at least not past like the age of 8, I think, because one of the biggest comic books in the world is one that's done here. It's called Monica's Gang. It's a kids comic books,
Huh.
and yeah, it's like it's been published here like since I was a little kid. My daughter has a bunch of those here, and they're cheap. They're disposable. They're not collectibles. There are some that are, but and so it still sells. Doesn't sell as much as before, but it still sells. So something there still works, even though kids are like more like looking at screens than reading books. But something there still works. But like they don't grow out of that still reading comics. They just grow out of it. You know, it's
Mm.
like comics here for most people, for the average Brazilian, is like kid stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You
That
know,
that that I
and
feel like
even
is
it's not
still
like for
here too.
12-year-olds or 15-year-olds, like for 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds. You
Yeah.
know, so there's like a bigger disconnect. You know, so whenever you see like a kid like who's 14 reading a comics, like it's
He's
really,
already
really,
too old for it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
And
man.
they get, of course, everybody gets teased on. At least when I was doing it, but I think today's a little less. But like they get teased on. The parents don't like it. Like, why are you doing that? Like the kid stuff, you know?
I think that
Go,
that's
go
why
play.
another reason manga has a stronger appeal, at least in the United States, is because that
It
has more
grows
of
their
a,
audience. It grows with their audience.
yeah. I
And
wonder,
that's magical, man. Like doing that, and I think like American comics and superhero comics did that. Like when I read stuff from the '60s or '70s, you can see that like X-Men, at least the one I read the most, kind of evolved with the time. You know, it got more serious. It was a little bit more cheeky, I guess, like a little more lighthearted, you know, almost for kids, you know.
Mhm.
And then it started getting more deep, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so like it grew with the audience. So you have a lot of like kids that grew with it and it kept going on with it.
Oh, yeah, that's the way. I think that's another reason that, like we were talking about at the very beginning, like Prince Valiant, that like for to that's the cool thing
Yeah,
about comics
yeah.
is they are just sort of an endless IP that we
Nicely circled back, man. I loved it.
yeah, that's how we know what we're doing here. Callbacks.
Yeah, professionals.
Oh man.
Awesome.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to let's go over some of your books. What have you done since the Grid Wars?
So when I did the Grid Wars, so this is the Grid Wars. I like it's Brian Russo's script. We did the first one, and he successful. Oh shit! Help me out.
Successfully, he funded.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Had a Kickstarter that was great, and shit, there's like a mosquito here. Sorry, it's getting in the way.
How dare those?
Sorry. So this is some of the pages. It was pretty cool. I loved working on it, and it came out. It was pretty cool. And we're still working on the second one. I haven't started doing art for it. I did some concepts so far, but he's still working on the script,
Okay.
and we're probably gonna try start actually working on later on this year, like near the end of the year.
Isn't the writer pretty active in the film community?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He did the Reaping. I think it's the name in English.
The Reaping?
With the Reaping with
That sounds
Hilary
familiar, and
Swank.
but I'm
Yeah,
blanking on what it
it's
is.
like 20 2007. Yeah, I was gonna say 2010, but it's before. I think it's
Was that a horror film or
around
was
that.
that a series?
It was a film. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
came on the movies and everything. Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
movie.
That
I remember seeing
I don't
it.
think I saw it, but I remember that title.
And like he's working on a couple TV shows that he's like developing, but nothing came out yet.
Everything takes years and years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've learned. Yeah. Like
But yeah, that's awesome.
while I was doing that, I did Megalomania, which is my own book. I don't know if we talked about this.
Yes, and I got it, and
Yeah, I
then
sent
my
it to you.
and thank you, by the way, because I think you signed it or gave
Yes.
me something that was signed inside, and so I packaged it in this thing. I didn't want to get it like damaged, and my kids started to open it,
Oh my
and I was
God,
like,
no.
no, like that one you can't look at.
Oh, you're gonna discard for life.
You have your artwork is for anybody that has not seen your art or seen your books. It is exceptional. You have such a powerful style and everything about it. And so yeah,
Oh,
and the
thank you,
way you
man.
package your books and all that, that was another thing I wanted to get into about this is like you did the perfect example of like
Oh,
releasing a
well, we're
premium.
talking about not doing.
Yeah, the opposite of what I'm trying to do, where yours are like
Yeah.
so perfectly packaged, almost you feel like you if like you're a rich person or something like that. That's like the feel you
But
get like
yes,
whenever I got like I feel like I'm in the Illuminati. Like this
yes,
is what you get whenever it's like when you
awesome.
open it, there's your Rolex or something inside. Like it's
That
so
makes me so
premium.
happy.
It's so nice, and then yeah, the content of it is just like, yeah, I'm the rich elite of this, like the grime
Yeah,
of the rich elite.
like I mean, the thing is, I think that's part of the experience of reading. Like reading this book on paper and doing that, getting it out of the box and like it's all like a gold, like layered. I don't know the word.
Yeah, what is the right word? Not trim, but yeah, it's what's the right word? Yeah, I can't think of it. It's not like yeah, like you said, it's layered into it.
Yeah, it has this like gold foliage, whatever thing in it, and so it's like it's intentional. It's not there just to make the book more expensive and I'm trying to get money out of people. Quite the opposite, I hate that it turned out so expensive, but I mean, it had to be that way because if you read this book on the computer, you don't get the same feeling.
No.
So the packaging, the paper, the cover, all of that, it's part of the experience of reading. So I think reading a comic book, like it doesn't have to be that all the time, but it can be, right? So if it can be, why not try it out sometimes? And that's what I was trying to do with this one. So
It's
like
perfect.
it comes out, it has this like kind of sleeve, I guess it's the name.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the
The
sleeve.
sleeve, right? So it has like you see the gold.
Yeah.
Fucking remember the word. Sorry. And everything here from like the paper has this pollen, really textured paper, right? And I guess I can only show this page,
Yeah, I think so. But
and
oh
which is
man, yeah.
this,
So
right? So and funny, you said like you feel rich, like getting the book, and you feel like you're in the Illuminati. And the first page, like this slum alleyway full of cats and garbage, and you're like going to the underworld, right?
but that's what's genius about it. You know what it reminds me of. I had a really rich friend growing up, and his dad had a room just dedicated to like I guess you'd call it like a cigar room or something, where all
Yeah,
he did, no women were allowed in this room. It was crazy. He was that kind of a baller, where he's like, this is the men's room where it just had like
my
wine,
man
whiskey,
cave.
cigars, and he had a coffee table with just like collector's edition books. And I was thinking like this is the kind of book that would be on there to where it's like
Yeah,
it's just like it's pristine, yet on the inside it like reveals the cigar smoke within, you know?
yeah, yeah. Oh, I have a page here that I can show. This was pretty cool. I remember doing this one.
It's
Like
so pro.
this one took like 3 days to finish.
Damn. So
Yeah, I love
how
this.
how big are yours whenever you're doing it in that much detail? Like what do you
So
call it? Like the raw materials whenever you're doing it the first time
yeah,
around.
it's I don't know in inches, but like international paper size, you have A1, A2, A3, A4,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
right? So like this is close to an A4, which
yeah,
is close to a letter size paper,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like they're not the same proportions, but they're almost the same size. So that an A4, I work double that, an A3.
Okay, because yeah, they're
So
all like
it's
mathematically
42.
a double of each other because it's like a whatever and then
Yes, yes.
yeah.
There you
So
go. Prince
exactly like
Valiant,
it's
it's A1
okay.
original, which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And
That
the
yeah, that's
cover for
big.
Megalomania, I did in A2, which is pretty big.
Whoa.
Just the cover. And like each page here is like an A4, yeah, A3. So it shrinks down to close to an A4.
And you do all yours by hand on physical
By hand,
media
yeah.
and then
Like
scan it, right? Or
I
is
write
how do you
myself.
get it or how do you actually go from like the painting or the sketch to the book? Do
You
you basically scan it into a computer? How
scan
does
it,
that work?
yeah. I scan it. I had a friend that had, or I have a friend that had an A3 scanner, so that was easy to scan. I only have an A4 scanner, so
Oh,
everything that I
okay. So
do,
if
I
you're
have
scanning
to like
yourself, you have to
scan
do it
three
in A4.
times. Yeah, I have to scan 3 times, and then Photoshop takes care of it.
No shit. Dang.
Yeah,
That it's crazy like that sounds like, oh man, that's so much work, and yet at the same time we're just talking about once again a callback to where how did they do it with Prince Valiant if he was like like I don't
yeah, that
know.
was crazy. That
Like
was crazy.
literally throwing it
Getting
into
that, getting the colors, like they had like the transparent sheets with the
yeah, they had
colors
to do
on
it
it,
that
and they had to like
physically
perfectly
like
align.
put the ink to copy it or something or how yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, and now
Yeah.
we're like, oh, why have to scan it? Like, just the idea of scanning is actually so
Yeah,
insane.
it's funny. Like for some people, like for younger people, they're like, "How did you put that in the computer?" Like my daughter one time she came here. How did you put the paper in the computer? Why you're like because I was coloring it in the computer like a cover or something, or just maybe adjusting something. And she was like baffled that I got the paper into the computer.
It
Did you
is
take a
still
picture?
baffling to me. Like, technology still blows my mind. Like, I
Yeah,
just now
because
learned how to scan things with my phone. Like, I used to
yeah,
just take pictures of documents, and someone was like, no, you can literally like flatten it and scan it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh, I didn't know that. That saves me
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. And most people, like most artists today, they prefer just work straight digitally.
Yeah,
And I pride myself on works like keeping the traditional, you know.
yeah, I think you're one of the few because yeah, most people I know
Yeah,
they talk about wanting to be fully physical medium artists,
yeah,
but I think I don't know, once you the ease of it I guess just takes
yeah,
over. And I
exactly.
mean, and
That's
there are a lot of cool possibilities. Like
of
Gabriel
course, no, of
Umazark
course. Like
loves.
some artists do great stuff with it. Have you seen Gigi Cavenago, who did Dylan Dog?
No, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Shit, he's amazing. Like, and he works just digital, and it's not like I'm not gonna name names because like I love all of their work, but you get people using the same brushes, and then the work gets like really similar, you know?
Yeah.
There's something in the paper that just changes, like it's like chaos in a way that you just go with it, you know? It's the like the what's the name of the guy? I forgot. Uh, Ross, the painter.
Oh, Alex Ross.
No, no, not Alex Ross. It's the guy with the perm.
Oh, Bob Ross.
Bob Ross, yes, thank you. That he said it like it's like the little accidents that make the painting.
Yes.
And that's totally true, man, because you do like a little wrong turn somewhere and you're like, fuck, man, I gotta work around it to make it right.
That reminds
And
me of you're a musician too, right? Do you play
no,
guitar
I
a little
play
bit?
guitar, but I wouldn't call myself a musician.
Oh, okay. But there was a band that I listened to called RX Bandits, and I remember they were one of the guys did an interview, and he was talking about how uh, in recording of this music, he's
Yeah.
like the producers want to take and use Pro Tools to match every note so it's perfectly aligned up, and he's like, but that
Yeah.
ruins the music. He's like, the
Yes.
beauty of just like live playing and the
Yes.
slight miss
The
clashes are
lyrical
what make
errors.
it sound so authentic and good. Like
Yeah.
trying to make it perfect ruins the song. It's like, and I think artistically, it's probably very
Uh,
similar on paper to
Yeah,
where it's
because
like,
there's more of the human there.
yes, exactly.
And that's like one thing that I was gonna get into because I was talking to a friend who went back to do traditional. He was doing everything digitally. He adapted his work to do digital. And he's Brazilian, but he's big there. And he's like he was so afraid of the AI taking over, right?
Yeah.
And then he like went through this kind of depression moment where he's like, man, I'm not worth shit. Like people can just steal my work and like they can do whatever I do that takes like 20 hours for me to do, somebody can do in 20 minutes. And then he realized like, fuck, I'll just go back to painting and nobody can steal that. That's mine, you know. I have the original here. If somebody wants the original, they can get it. So, in a way, you know, I mean, for me, I see it as hope, like that thing's not gonna take over. Of course, it's already there, but it's not going away. But it's not gonna take over, you know. And hopefully, more people will go into like performing and
Hmm.
recording live and not trying to fix everything in Pro Tools and not trying to fix everything in Photoshop and just like, you know, accept the work that you do and do it live, you know.
That's how I mean,
For me, so much better.
if you look at it through a positive lens, if you were to go to the extremes of like, okay, if AI and all this stuff is essentially making our freeing our lives and making everything super easy, in theory, that would mean that the real value will go back to
Yeah,
us doing real creative physical
yeah,
work in nature. If we have, I mean, from the non-artistic, if you just go to like travel and everybody's worried about or work, like AI is going to take away our jobs, self-driving cars, we're going to have high-speed rails, kind of unlimited travel. It's like, okay, well, if I can go from here to Brazil in 30 minutes instead of, you know, hours. And
at
so,
least
if I
10
can take
hours
an
depending
extended
on
lunch
where
break
in the
on a
US.
whatever, and then on top of that, if my job is my hard labor job has been replaced, and now my sort of the creative aspects will be people will want to be more like getting together in person, you know,
Yeah,
and it'll be
hopefully. Yeah,
more.
that's like a positive way
Yeah, like
to
I
look
said, if I go
at
the
that.
full positive
Yeah,
angle of it, of course, there's a million snags of where things could go horribly
yeah.
wrong. But it's like if you
Like
do
people are
see,
already like pulling their hair now and it's like yelling
but
at you.
yeah, but I do see it going to like two extremes. It's like
Yeah,
the more, like you said, like the artists that actually have the skill and the joy, or even like don't even have the skill yet, like will want to go back to
yeah,
creating live music, creating
yeah.
painting live.
Yeah, like going to like an exhibit, it's gonna be
Yeah,
have more meaning than before. You
yeah,
know,
we're
and
gonna
I
be.
think I know this is kind of I know it's not in the same scale, I guess, but like we've been through this before when photography came out. Like you have uh, notes from people and stories of artists going crazy saying that they're useless now because most of the jobs of painters was doing portraits
Yeah.
and like photography killed that. You don't see many people doing portraits like once just like the King of England did one, and that's it. In the last 50 or 60 years or something,
Yeah.
100 years at least. And what happened? Like painters, they changed the way they did things. Expressionism was born.
Hmm.
Like you cannot complain that expressionism exists. You cannot complain that Monet, and Degas all existed. Van Gogh, they all came out of that. And I mean, I know for some people it's going to be hard to like look at it, and not everybody turned out to be an expressionist artist later on. Like of
Yeah.
course, like the guys that were doing portraits, they probably starved to death or something, or they had to do something else. I know it might have, I don't know, but I mean, I don't see it that differently from it. I know, like as I said before, I know the scale of it is different. I know the implications of it, the way like the AI is being trained. It's horrible. I don't like it either, But I mean, if you're gonna try, and that's like me, I like just like you said, I try to look at things from the positive side, and I hope I'm right. If I'm not, it's okay. But I hope that something better comes out of it. Like that we go back to
That's
being.
where I'm at with it. I mean,
Yeah,
you could try to fight it, but it's almost like you said, everything's in a transitionary period, right?
yeah,
Probably kind of always is, but definitely right now with almost all of art mediums, they've been in transition ever since Photoshop has become such a powerful tool. Since I was a kid, making films went from you knew how to you had to learn how to use crazy cameras and film, and now it's like almost anything can be done with an iPhone and can literally be edited and with special effects and stuff on a computer you can
yeah,
buy from Walmart and um it, everything is so it's like it's like okay, we're going to be transitioning, but B, it's also like instead of fighting it, just try to adapt with it because we're not going to the train is too powerful to stop. Some
yeah.
artists saying that this is killing them is it's just like those artists are going to kill themselves just trying to fight against this machine. It's like just try to adapt to work with
There's
it.
that too.
Don't
Yeah,
don't benefit the people that are being abusive and stealing.
yeah,
Like obviously fight and defend yourself and your own art, but yeah, don't let it consume you because yeah, there will be a way on the other end of this. On a positive, the way I see things, trying to be as positive as I can. Because yeah, to me,
yeah.
I don't like it either, but I don't want to let it discourage me. And yeah, now I see it as even more of a reason to value the physical media, the physical art, and that's also why I want to do these next self-published comics that way to where they focus on even for a writer's perspective like this is sort of a raw form of my art. It's like just
Yeah,
get the basic stories in the basic way on the page.
yeah.
It's not super fancy, not super expensive. Um, but if you like the story, that's the way to get it out there, almost like in a zine or very cheap kind of format,
I
as
love it.
opposed to having
Yeah,
to spend a bunch of money, a bunch of years to try to get something that maybe some people will read. Yeah,
yeah.
but
That's what I tried to do like, with Vermilion, which I released last year. And so, oh shit. So if I released Vermilion last year, we talked 2 years ago, not 1 year
yeah,
ago.
I think you're right. I
Yeah,
think it was two
two
years
years
ago.
ago. And
Yeah, you were one of the first people I talked to when I started my channel, and I'm now like 2 years into it.
well,
So
yeah,
yeah, we'll be
it's
going
two
on
years
three.
because it
So yeah,
was,
it's been a while.
yeah, it was, I was starting to work on the Grid Wars and I was finishing Megalomania. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I finished Grid Wars last year. So yeah, I got the timeline correct now.
yeah, and I don't even remember what. I mean, I've only really done three. This is my third big series. Everything else I've done in between that has been like writing little comics for other people. I haven't done anything big. It's like I had Liquid Kill, which
Yeah.
for those who don't know, you did some of the best covers. For actually, you know
Oh,
what I was
thank
going to
you.
tell you?
I
I'm
like
gonna
that.
try to get uh, the the cover you have turned into a cardboard cutout and to
Oh
bring
shit.
conventions with me. And everybody is just like, that would
That's
be
so
like, you would
cool.
just, everybody come to your table if you do that. And it wouldn't be even that expensive. Uh,
That's so cool.
so yeah, I'm now just like putting it in and just figuring out who I want to actually print it when, but I'll get there. And once I have it, I'll send you a
Yeah.
picture of it with me at a con. But yeah. Well, we're almost at about an hour. I'll plug my own stuff just to remind everybody, even though my own audience knows all this. But yeah, I have my live Kickstarter up. It's for my graphic novel called Our Love Unrest. It's the first book I'm doing that's kickstarted. It's done by an amazing artist that goes by Bye Bye Unimund. This is her first sequential art book, so we were
Oh,
lucky
cool.
enough to where she we're our her debut as our
That's awesome.
story, and she did a fantastic job. Cannot talk her up enough on the just yeah, just how wonderful she did adapting this story because it's an interesting. It's like one of those to where it's very character driven, but it's also got some hard parts artistically, and she took it and mastered the way to do it, especially sort of the symbolic aspects that we have that are going on with the garden. It's a gothic romance thriller supernatural thing. It's like a this you basically see it from two perspectives at the start. You see it from a guy's perspective of basically he's this rich guy at this mansion, and then all of a sudden his ex girlfriend shows up at his house, and this is his ex from years ago. Like he's an adult, and this is his ex from like high school,
Hmm.
and she shows up at his house in sort of a mania. And the hook of sort of the opening issue is like she's there because she needs help because she just killed her husband and she needs help
Oh
basically
shit.
disposing of the body. And then it flips to sort of the guy's perspective and the girl's perspective of like this is basically the love of his past that he never got over. And now she's at his house in a very vulnerable position. And so you're torn between like who's the good guy and bad guy of well clearly she's sort of murderous but also her ex seems to be a crazy guy he probably deserved it and now this the current person that she's falling back on is she just using him and then like what was their relationship in the past and it just sort of escalates in this crazy paranoia drama that
That
has
sounds pretty cool.
it's a cool
Awesome.
story, and the people that have read it through, it gets really wild in the end, and that's where I was saying like it's borderline. It gets graphic towards the end because it it combines sort of like erotic elements and gore,
Yeah.
and it but it's done stylistically and like with taste in a sense. But it's deliberately weird, but yeah, it's cool. Anybody that's fans of any of my past work should like it, and any
Are you
fans of
doing?
horror
Sorry.
should enjoy it too.
Are you doing it as a one shot or is it a
It's a
series?
full story. It's going to be 100 pages. It's
Ah, cool.
basically a four-issue trade, but we're just
Yeah.
releasing it all as one
All
book.
at
We didn't
once.
instead of floppies.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just releasing the whole trade all at one thing. We're funded. I needed 1,200 to print at least 100 copies. But we're now at 2,000, so I'll probably print some more than that, and then we'll have some artwork and stuff as stretch goals and
Congratulations. That's
print.
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I got going on. What do you have going on? Anything you want to plug or promote?
Yeah. Like I did Vermilion last year, which is my latest like self-published work. It's a smaller one, but it's like an intimate story that kind of follows up the first one with a different character, and it's about this girl. she's married, she has a kid, and she's like she's an artist, and she is struggling to finish some stuff that she's doing, and she gets caught by this red-haired woman that gets her attention, and she just like keeps seeing her everywhere, and she gets obsessed with her, like she kind of wants to be her, and she starts to ignore her family and do other stuff, do crazy stuff. She gets tattoos, and she dyes her hair, and she just goes out with this girl, and then, like in the first one, it just doesn't end well. So it's like a short story format, kind of.
It's like a graphic novella.
Yeah, it's like what's the name? The guy who did The Fly. I forgot his name now.
Oh, Cronenberg.
Cronenberg, yes. It's like a short story like that, where it's just body horror. Nothing makes sense in the beginning until you're like in the middle of it, just caught by
Man,
it.
you and I are gonna have to do a book together in the future because we have like pretty much the exact same taste.
Yeah. So I'm shopping around to see if I can get it published over there too. And one of my older books, I'm in the middle of negotiations, but it might come out later on.
Something you already published in the past is gonna
Yeah.
possibly get okay. That's
And I
cool.
can't say anything now, but I
Yeah,
can say
of
that
course.
that one's almost there. So hopefully it's gonna get all good, and I'll let everybody know when it comes out. Should be
Just hit
cool.
me up. As a reminder for everybody, you're on social media as Brao, right? Or is
But underline art,
okay.
and on Instagram and X, and that's it. I have my website, which is brown.art.br, where you can see more stuff. But that one's like old design. I need to update it. But yeah, follow me on Instagram.
It is a cool. I do like how your like. It's very clear that you're an artist by your website. Cool. I'll attach the links in the video. If you got nothing else, then we'll wrap it up there. Great convo. We'll have to do it more often, not every 2 years.
Yeah, whenever you want it, man. I love doing this.
Yeah, I had to take sort of a long break from YouTube for a while I worked on some things, but after this summer, once I'm done with this campaign, I'll be back into the swing of things, and I'll be doing more kind of like just talking kind of podcasts, and I'll be releasing more books and stuff. So back into hype mode probably in the fall.
Cool. That's awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. I'll
Awesome,
catch you later.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.